Step 1 is completed. Step 1 was very simple. What we have done is we have just taken whatever is given in the question, that has given data, and then if some assumptions were required, we have assumed some values, then we calculated the total carriageway width, and also we have found effective span, because effective span is required for the design of slab, and as well we have assumed some thickness. From that thickness we calculated the effective thickness. Okay, that was our first step. Second step is something new for you all. So step 2. So in this step, because all of you know, as per Indian Road Congress specifications, the design of bridges are done in working stress method. Okay, so when we use working stress method, we have to calculate the design constants. Okay, and I also have said in my earlier video, design for permissible stresses in concrete and steel are given in table 9 and table 10 of IRC 21. Okay, so those tables also I have given, you can refer those tables. So let me continue to calculate the design constants. Design constants. Okay, so in this, first, as per IRC 21, okay, this is permissible stress in concrete. If you refer table 9, yes, all of you, if you refer table 9, you will have a table where you will have two stresses on concretes. One is permissible stress in concrete in direct compression. Okay, so that value you have to use when you design compression members like columns, footings. There you have to use that permissible stress. Now we are doing the design of slab, which is a flexural member. So we have to extract the value permissible stress in concrete flexural compression. Okay, flexural compression value you have to take. So for M25 grade concrete, for M25 grade concrete, okay, this is permissible stress. Okay, I'll just write it for you all. Permissible stress in flexural compression. Flexural compression. Okay, so this is from table 9. Table 9. So the value is, we represent it by sigma CBC. The value is 8.33 Newton per mm square. Okay, this is the permissible stress in concrete in member subjected to flexure for M25 grade. You can refer IRC 21, table number 9. Same way, permissible stress in steel we get from table 10. Table 10, okay? From table 10, permissible stress in steel. Okay, so for Fe 415, ours is Fe 415, which is also referred as HYSD bars, high yield deformed bars. Okay, high yield strength deformed bars, HYSD. Okay, so the permissible strength of steel is restricted to 200 Newton per mm square. So these two values are required for us to design to get the design constants. Okay, so another important thing we require for design constant is modular ratio. So in RCC, if you want modular ratio, we get from the IS 456, m is equal to 280 by 3 sigma CBC. But in bridges, m is equal to 10. It is fixed. Okay, so any bridge modular ratio is fixed as 10. So with these three values, permissible stresses in concrete, steel and modular ratio, we will proceed for design constants. Okay, so the first design constant is lever arm factor, neutral axis factor, neutral axis factor. It is represented by letter K. How are we going to get that? From the formula m sigma CBC by m sigma CBC plus sigma ST. So you have the values 10 into 8.33 divided by 10 into 8.33 plus 200. So what you get will be the K value. So it is equal to 0.293. 0.293. This K is called as neutral axis factor. So first design constant you have obtained. Now second design constant is lever arm factor. Lever arm factor. It is represented by a letter G. Formula for this is 1 minus K by 3. You have the value of K, just now you have calculated it as 0.293 by 3. So it comes out to be 0.902. 0.902. Okay. So this is another factor. Third is moment of resistance factor. Moment of resistance factor. It is represented by some books by Q and some books with the letter capital R. So whatever you feel you can take. Okay. So the representation is you can take R or you can take Q. It's up to you. The formula is half sigma CBC JK. Okay. You have to find this design constant in this order only, because you can see this is depending on stresses and this is depending on the earlier calculated constant and this is again depending on the earlier found constant. So you have to follow the same order whenever you are finding. So R is equal to half into 8.33 into J value is 0.902 and K value is 0.293. Okay, this works out to be 1.02. Okay, it's 1.092. Okay, 1.092. You can work out if some difference is coming, whatever you are getting that you can take. It is 1.097. Fine. So in this way we have to calculate the design constant. Okay. So this is also one step before moving to the designs. So step 2 is completed. Fine. Now coming to the step 3. Okay. Coming to the step 3. Step 3 is calculation of dead load bending moment. Okay. We have to calculate dead load bending moment. We have to calculate live load bending moment. We have to calculate impact load bending moment. Okay. So now I'll calculate. The next step will be calculation of dead load bending moment. Fine. So step 3, dead load bending moment. So I am representing it by MDL. Okay. So for this we need to find out first dead loads. Okay. So what are the dead loads acting? The first is self weight of slab. First is self weight of bridge slab. So that you can get, already I have told you, just simply multiply the overall thickness with the density of RCC, because our bridge is made with the RCC. If you multiply the overall thickness with density, you will get the self weight of the slab. That is, overall thickness is 0.4 and 25 kilonewton per cubic meter is the density RCC. Okay. So this comes out to be 10 kilonewton per meter square. Okay. So this is how you got it. Self weight of slab, dead loads. These are all what I am calculating is first dead loads I am calculating. Okay. Then I will calculate dead load bending moment. I hope you are getting. Okay. Then weight of wearing coat. Wearing coat. So same thing once again, wearing coat thickness multiplied by the density of wearing coat. So wearing coat thickness is 75 mm. Okay. And density of bitumen I am taking tar. That is, other name of bitumen is tar. Okay. So that density is 22 kilonewton per cubic meter. Okay. So here RCC density is 25. So this is 0.075 multiplied by 22. So this I got it as 1.65 kilonewton per meter square. So total dead load is, I am representing it as W, okay, 10 plus 1, 11.65 kilonewton per meter width of slab, per meter slab width, okay. So this is the dead load. You know how to find out bending moment, because it is a simply supported slab, it is resting on two supports, so bending moment will be maximum at the center. Whether it is due to dead load or whether it is due to live load, it will be at the center, because member is supporting, simply supported member, okay. So you know what is the formula for dead load bending moment. Dead load bending moment, I am writing the abbreviation. Dead load bending moment is equal to okay, W L square by 8, where W is the load just now you have calculated, L is the effective span, okay. Simply you put down the values, 11.65. What was the effective span we have calculated earlier? It was 5.86, okay, that divided by 8. So I get the dead load bending moment as dead load bending moment is WL square by 8. So on substituting the value, L stands for effective span, small l stands for effective span. So on substituting these values, so using the calculator, I got the dead load bending moment as 50.007 kilonewton meter. So with this, the step 3 is completed, okay. So our next step is step 4, live load bending moment. So we represent it as like this, M suffix LL, okay. So live load bending moment, as you are all well aware what is live load on the bridges. If you have seen my earlier videos, it is very clear what is live load here. So here live load is class A loading, a train of vehicles which I have shown in my video 1 and video 2. Okay, now this is our live load bending moment. So we need to have the hard copy of IRC 5. Okay, so live load we have to find out. Now as if you have seen my part 1 video of this series, so I have given clear carriageway. Clear carriageway is given in the question as 6.8 meters. Okay, so if you come back to the drawing of class A loading, okay, if you remember train of vehicles, the heaviest load axle is 114 kilonewton, okay. So that is what I have placed here. So the distance between those two was 1.8 meters, or I can say 1800 mm. This is there in IRC 5, okay. So now this is 1800 plus 250 plus 250. So it will be 2300. So when the carriageway width is 6.8 meters, so we can provide two lane bridge slab, okay. That means one train of vehicle in one direction and the other train of vehicle or other vehicle in the opposite direction. So we are going, because the clear carriageway width is sufficient to provide 2 lane, we are going to design it as 2 lane bridge slab, okay. Because clear carriage width is this one, so it's a 2 lane bridge. So what we need to calculate is, first we need to calculate the value of G, okay. So we need to calculate many distances here, because we have to fix up the distances, fine. So first in this one is, I am going to calculate the value of G. Hope you remember what is G, okay. G is the minimum clearance distance. The minimum clearance distance between the two crossing vehicles. Because it is a 2-lane road, we need to have how much distance we have to keep this G. You can see this is one vehicle coming in the opposite direction like this. This is another vehicle, 2-lane road going in this direction. So what is the clear distance between these two? That is G. Okay. So that G also is been given by IRC. There is a table in the IRC 5. You can refer that. For your convenience, I have written it here. So clear carriageway width is 5.5 meter, then the G value has to be provided 0.4 meter. If the clear carriageway width is 7.5 meters, then the value of G, that is this distance between the two crossing vehicles, outer edge to outer edge, must be 1.2 meters. Okay. Now our carriageway width is 6.8 meters. You can see it is 6.8 meters. Somewhere in between these two values. So you have to interpolate it and get the value of G. So most of you know how to do the interpolation and get the values. But still, I'll just show you the formula from which you can calculate. So G is equal to 1 point, this upper value, G is equal to this upper value 0.4 plus what you can do is this G value 1.2 minus 0.4 divided by clear carriageway upper value minus lower value, that is 7.5 minus 5.5. This multiplied by the distance difference, that is 6.8 minus 5.5. What is required to us that? So like this, if you can remember the interpolation formula, easily you can calculate. Otherwise, by interpolation, you know how to do the interpolation. For this difference, the difference is this much. Then for this difference, how much? So that interpolation also you can obtain. So using this, I got the value of G as 0.92 meters. 0.92 meters. Okay, let us highlight this. 0.92 meters I got for my carriageway. So this value is now G value is 0.92. This is from outer edge of the tire to outer edge of the crossing vehicle, right? So if you want center, so this is 250 and this is center is 250 because center line diagram is given. Okay, so this 250 because you know what is W. For W for class A, W, that is the width of contact area for class A is 500 mm or 0.5. Okay, now if I want center to center, I am drawing this series. So if I want center to center, then my G value, this value will become, you can see, of course G has become 0.92. 0.92. So center to center value will be 0.92 plus 0.25 this side, half the wheel width and half the wheel width. So this becomes 0.5 plus 0.92. 0.5 plus 0.92. It will come to 1420, 1.42. Okay, 1.42. Okay, 1.42 meter. That details you can show it here. This is 1420. This is from here, center to center. Of course, edge to edge it is 0.2 meter. We have calculated it from this IRC provision. And this is how much? F is 0.15. You can see. So this is 0.15 plus 0.25. So this becomes 0.4. I need all these values. When I design, I need all this. That is why I am doing it. So this is 0.4. This is 1.8. If you want in terms of this thing meters, then this is 1.8 and this is 1.42. Okay. Again this is center to center 1.8. You know this is from class A loading chart. Okay, 1.8 and again this is 0.25 plus 0.15. So this outcomes 0.25 plus 0.15 is 0.4. Like this you have got the complete width of the carriageway, and you also know that this is 600 meters or 0.6 meters. So this is 0.6 meters. Like this. Okay, so this whatever is remaining after this is not 0.4 actually. Okay, so whatever is remaining, that you can take it as the continuation, because exactly center we won't get it, right? So we have to place the loading like this. Okay, this is very well you have to understand. So the total carriageway width is 8 meters. Okay, so this will not be completely 8 meters. So I have removed this 0.4. Okay. So this is 0.25 of course, this is 0.25 fixed one. So whatever is remaining, that will be taken as the clearance on the right side or on this side, any side you can take, fine. So now you have to calculate the live loads, okay, you have to calculate the live loads. Okay, you have to place, to calculate the maximum bending moment is at the center of the span. Everyone knows maximum bending moment is at the center of the span. So you have to place the wheels, across the CG of the road, across the CG of the carriageway, okay. So your carriageway, this is 5.86, exactly center one line. This is 8 meters, so exactly at 4 meters, okay, exactly at 4 meters you have to draw center line, okay. This is 4 meter, this is 4 meter, okay. This 4 meters, you got it. You have to place to create the maximum bending moment, because we always design the slabs or any RCC member for maximum bending moments. So you have to place the wheel load, that is the highest axial loads, symmetrically across the CG of the road. You can see exactly same distance this side, same distance this side, same here, exactly, okay. So like a mirror image, it has to be placed across the symmetrically about the centroidal axis of the slab, okay. To create the maximum bending moment, we are doing this exercise, okay. So you know what is maximum axial load? Maximum axial load, if you remember for class A, it was 114 kilonewton, okay. So there are two axles separated by distance. If you remember, this was 1.2 meters, okay, center to center, this was 1.2 meters for axial 1, axial 2, okay. This is axial 1, axial 2, this is going in this direction, so we have to place it symmetrically about the centroidal axis of the slab, okay. Now the maximum axial is 114 kilonewton, right. So to get whatever load you are placing, this is a concentrated load. This is one axial, it is 114 kilonewton, okay. This is one axial load. It will not be transmitted as a concentrated load, not as a point load. So this load, I'll just draw one figure, I'll try to explain you, okay. Suppose this is the road on which I am placing one axial, this axial, okay, 114 kilonewton, okay. There is another axial at a distance of 1.8 meter. So what happens is, this is wearing cord thickness, this is slab thickness, okay. What happens is, this will not go as a point load, it gets spreaded, okay, at an angle 45 degree, okay. So this is getting spreaded at an angle 45 degree, this is H, this is G, okay. So the load is not transmitting on the road as a point load, it is getting dispersed over an effective width, that is why this method of design is called as effective width method, okay. So this method of designing deck slab bridge is effective width method of design, okay, right. Because the wheel load is not getting transferred to the road slab as a single concentrated or as a single point load, it is getting dispersed over a width, that width over which the load is getting dispersed, okay, the word is dispersed, okay, the width, it is getting dispersed over a width, right. So that width is called as effective width, okay. That is why the method is called as effective width method, okay. So when we are calculating live load bending moment, first thing what we have done is, we have found the value of G, that is the minimum clearance between the two crossing vehicles, okay, because it's a 2 lane, there are 2 crossing vehicles, fine. So mostly class A loading will be designed for 2 lane traffic only, okay. In second step, what we did is we just placed the wheel loads symmetrically about the centroidal axis and we calculated the total distances, center to center distances, okay. Now in third step, what we will do is we will find out the effective width, okay. I'm just rubbing up this one, this is not required to us, fine. So in third step we will find out the effective width, okay. It is represented by D suffix E, effective width over which the load is, okay, the wheel load is, to be specific I should say the wheel load is dispersed, okay, the wheel load is dispersed. This is what we are going to calculate in the third step of the step 4, okay. So we are going to calculate the width over which the wheel load is dispersed. Again, if you check IRC 5, there a formula is given to calculate the effective width, okay. So that formula I am writing down, BE is equal to KX into 1 minus X by L plus BW. So many terms we have to understand now, okay. So first is K. What is K? K is a value which depends on, now if you have IRC 5, you can see in that K depends upon L by small l, okay. There is a table where one column is L by L values, the other values gives the K value. What is this capital L? What is this small l? Capital L is the total width of the carriageway, okay. Small l is the effective span. So if you find some number, according to the number we get the value of K from IRC. From IRC, okay, we get these values. It will be for a single axle load. I have just rubbed the diagram. I have shown you one single concentrated load is getting dispersed at an angle 45 degree. So for the width on which this load is getting dispersed at 45 degree is given by this formula. So first is what is the value of K? K depends upon L by L and we have a table from IRC. So you can get the value of K, okay. Then comes the value of X. So what is X? X is the centroidal distance. X is the centroidal distance, or I'll just remove this. It is the distance from the CG of load. CG means center of gravity. From the CG of the load to the nearest support. To the nearest support. If you have IRC 5, you can check. Okay. So on the diagram, I am going to show you what is this X value. Okay. So for the time being, I will remove this. Okay. Now, where is the CG of the load? If I take this first axle, its CG is here. Okay. This to the nearest support. This is support. This is a column and this is a column. So, see, center of the load to the nearest support is X value. Okay, we can calculate that. Because here the axles are placed symmetrically, so if this is X, this will also be X. This will be also X. So, X plus 1.2 plus X is equal to effective span, isn't it? So like that we can calculate the value of X. X is the distance of the CG of the load to the nearest support. because in this case load is placed symmetrically above the centroidal axis of the rod, it is same x and x. Okay, so that is the value of x. Again, what is L? As I said you, it is represented by capital L. So it is the it is small l. It is small l. So it is the effective span. Okay, then BW. BW is the width on which the load is in single tire. You have got 4 tires here. 1, 2, 3, 4. How much it is getting dispersed in the direction of motion. Okay, so BW I am going to show how to calculate. Again IRC 5. IRC 5 is giving the value of BW in terms of formula. So BW is equal to, this is in the direction of motion. Again across the span, in this across the span it is something else. Okay, in the direction of motion, BW is equal to W, width of tire, this W, okay, plus 2 into H. What is H? Thickness of the wearing cord. I will show you. This is the wearing cord. Okay, on this the load is there. Okay, so this is getting dispersed at 45 degree. Okay, so this 45 degree means if you draw a line, whatever is this distance, same is this one. So this is H, so this is also H. So this is also H, and this is W. So W plus 2H is the BW value. Okay, so in this way we can calculate the BE value. So effective width is completed. Fine. Now we will calculate for our problem the effective width. Okay, the effective width we will calculate. First is K. So K value is L by L, means here L is 8 meters and small l is 5.86. 8 by 5.86 you will get a value of 1.365. 1.365. Now if you refer the table of IRC 5, you get the value of, okay, no, this is the value of L by L, I am sorry, this is the value of L by L. So for this value of L by L value, we get K from table. So the value of K, I am just taking it, is 2.772. If you refer the code, you will get. Okay, so 2.772 from table of IRC 5 we got it. For this L by L value, K is given. Like if you see the table, there will be L by L and there will be K value. Okay, so for 1, for 1.2, for 1.4, 1.6, K values are given. So because it is 2.77, you can see 2.8 also. Okay, you can see 2.8. Fine. So like this we got. Now calculation of X. How much is X? X is very easy. Already I have shown you on the diagram. X plus 1.2 plus X will be equal to 5.86. So I am using the same tactic to calculate X. X plus 1.2 meter is equal to 5.86, or simply X is equal to 5.86 minus 1.2 by 2. So we get the value of X as 2.33 meter. So this is required for us to calculate BE. Okay, fine. Now BW we have to calculate. So I have given you already the formula. BW is equal to W plus 2 into H. So your W is 0.5, 500 mm for class A loading. Thickness is 0.075. So this comes out to be 0.15. So 0.5 plus 0.015 comes to be 0.65. So you got period. So all the values are with you. Simply calculate the effective width on which the load is getting dispersed. So it's Kx into 1 minus x by L plus Bw. So let me calculate. K is 2.772. 2.772 into x. X value is 2.3. Okay, 2.3 into 1 minus, the x value is again 2.33. L is effective span 5.86. Multiply this everything plus add 0.65. So this comes out to be 3.89 plus 0.65. So BE is equal to 4.54 meter. Okay, the width on which the load is getting dispersed from a single axle is 4.54 meter. Here understanding is required very much. You can see in this carriageway width there are 4 wheels. Okay, so one wheel is getting distributed over a length of 4.54, another 4.54, another 4.54, another 4.54. So what is happening? The distance, center to center distance is 1.8. So 4.54, if you half it, it will be 2.27. 2.27 this side. So that means 2.27 this side, which is only 1.8 meters gap is there. In that 2.27 disbursement means the dispersion of one tire is overlapping the dispersion of another tire. Are you getting my point? So if you want, I'll just draw one diagram, simple diagram. Suppose this is one axle, this is one axle. Okay, separated by distance of 1.8 meter. This is again after some distance of 1.42, one axle, again 1.8, another axle. Okay, some space is there. So this is getting dispersed to half of this, 2.275, then 2.275. Together it is 4.54. Then here it is 2.75, 2.75, 2.75, 2.75. So you can see they are getting overlapped. You can see it is getting overlapped. So what we can do, because whatever dispersion is to take place, it has to take place within the total carriageway, that is within this 8 meters. If we add up 4.54, it will hang in the air beyond the width of the bridge slab, which is highly not possible, isn't it? Whatever load has to be carried, that has to be carried by the slab, not by the portion beyond the slab. So what we can do is, we have to recalculate the value of BE. We have to recalculate the value of BE. How are you going to calculate the value of BE? So this 3.89 is fixed. We cannot do anything. Okay, so 3.89 is fixed. This BW we have to change. What is BW? W plus 2H, where W is the width of one tire. So what you have to do is, you have to calculate this total. See, what I am doing is, so this is total like this. I am removing the axles. I am showing it as a load dispersion like this. This is the load dispersion. Okay, so we have to calculate this 4 wheels width as a single width. From this workout, what I have done, I should not have rubbed it. Okay, what I have done, so from this we have to calculate. So this complete I have to take as the BW. Okay, so I have to calculate BW, which I am doing it. You can see. You can see how I am going to calculate. Actual formula for BW is W plus 2H. This W I am calculating for 4 tires together. So very carefully you have to observe simultaneously both at the figure and here. So I am starting from here. Okay, this is point from tire. Okay, so this is 0.25. Okay, so 0.25. I am starting from here. You can see here from here. So this is 0.25. I'm taking these 4 tires together. 0.25. Then this center to center distance is 1.8 plus center to center distance is 1.42 plus I am here now. 1.42 means I am here. Then again 1.8 plus 0.25. 1.8 plus 0.25. So 4 tires together. No F's, only this. So this comes out to be, BW comes out to be 5.67 meters.